just a short video on a very short little piece that goes on the L134 engine, and a very controversial one at that. This is a brand new reproduction stay cable for the Willys MB. You see you got the ball on one end, and you've got these two nuts on a threaded surface here. I've looked and researched over a ton of books, pictures that are out there on the web, conversations that many people have had on forums, and it seems that this little cable causes a lot of controversy. It's called a stay cable, and the reason it's called a stay cable is because it keeps the engine in its place. I've seen things out there where guys were saying, and I can understand why you would say this, and I almost believe it myself, that this is here, in fact, to keep this engine and bell housing from moving, because this clutch cable would pull in the same direction if this moved. After doing lots of research, and like I say, tons of forums, tons of sites, tons of books, contacted a few professional builders that I know, it seems that this indeed is to keep the engine from moving forward. And some people have talked about the fan hitting the radiator under extreme condition. So my opinion is that is indeed the case. You've got this whole drivetrain held by rubber mounts on the transmission and up front here on the engine. So I'm just going to show you how to install it. I've looked at the parts manuals, and this is how it'll come. You'll get two nuts on this. You need a 3/8 inch washer and two 3/8 inch lock washers according to the Willys Overland parts catalog. So basically, we're going to go from the little bracket here that's mounted on the engine plate back here to the bracket that's on the cross member. And how you do that is really quite simple. You're going to take the two nuts off. You can't lock them together. It's amazing the controversy that's out there, and I guess we'd have to have an actual, and I have looked at the TMs too. I've looked at the TMs, and yeah, some of them, I've seen pictures of the L134. I've actually seen the ball going backwards. However, I've seen them in pictures like this. I have seen earlier brackets that have a turned up, almost looks like ears or forks that ball would go into. I'm going to go with the installation of through the engine backer plate. Put the ball, and we'll bring the threaded end through here. Now you're going to have to put one of these nuts on. Got some long threads to go on there. Then we'll put a lock washer. We'll put it through the hole on the bracket on the cross member. Then we're going to put a washer. And then another lock washer. And then the other nut. Now here we go again. I've seen the adjustments all over the place too. I've seen some folks swear up and down you're supposed to crank this down until it's taut and take all the slack out of it. And I've seen other actual manual pictures from later stuff though. This is from like I've looked also from some of the MB and CJ3A, and like I say, I've researched this to death, and it's just all over the place. There's really no definitive answer I can find. If you have a definitive answer you can find, feel free to post it in the comments here on the video, because I would love to see it. I spent hours researching this little piece. So once we got the nuts on there, we're going to tighten this on the back. Just get this finger tight for the time being. Here's where it gets fun. It's about the adjustment. I've seen in different manuals and different forums and different threads, I've actually seen, now this was out of a CJ3A manual, that this is supposed to move from a straight plane 1/2 inch up or down either way, in which case that would be the spot we would tighten this down. I'm not going to 100% agree with that. I think that there is validity in the movement of it. I don't think it needs to be exactly tight. However, I don't think 1/2 inch up or down is where I want to be at on the Willys MB. So I'll use this deep weld 9/16 inch socket, and I'll tighten that up. I'm just using my hand here to keep going back and forth because I don't want that dead tight, but I do want some slack or play in it. Right there, I'm going to call that about 1/4 inch up or down. And it's pretty taut. And so I'll leave that tightened there. Next step is we're going to take this nut and go back against the bracket, and we'll use a wrench to tighten that down. Go ahead and tighten this down really snug, And when you get to this point, your lock washers are not going to want to lock up, so go ahead and use your socket again. Just hold that. You don't have to twist it anymore because you don't want to pull that any further in. And get that nice and tight. It's kind of tough to get in there once this gets down here. We got that nice and snug. Lock washers are compressed. We've still got our little play in there. The stay cable's installed, and we're going to move on next to finishing up the pedals and the clutch and brake assembly. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Team G503.